Okay, hello. So training video number 1 here. So we just want to share these training videos as we go, stay connected. We'll share a little bit of the life and continue to build this mission, this world of service together here. All right, so here's Ellie. Ellie, what you doing?
I'm just
Okay, yeah, you got the stick in the woods there. Putting the sticks into hair, holding to place. Yeah. Alrighty. So the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse. Conflict, obviously, is a huge reason why couples come to therapy. A lot of times people will come and say, hey, I want to work on our communication. That's what we want to do. And a lot of times this means that they don't trust each other. They're not able to be vulnerable. They're hurting each other over and over again, and they don't know why, and they're having a really hard time figuring anything out, right? So, you know, a lot of times they come in and they have some things that they want to get resolved right away, and they need to learn how to talk to each other in a safe place where it's going to be constructive, and they can start learning. Hi-ya! Uh-oh. They can start learning that conflict is safe and it's constructive. And this is actually like trust building. So the ideal in an intimate relationship is to be as vulnerable with your partner as it's possible to be with another human being, right? So the opposite of that is feeling like you have to be super defensive and that the other person is your enemy, right? So conceptually, we start to teach the couple how to love each other and what love looks like and how it feels and how to establish a me and you together against the world rather than a me versus you mentality, right? So there's a lot of concepts that I try to teach and foster. Look, king of the woods. A lot of concepts that we try to foster, and then that'll help you too as a clinician, right, in allying with the couples and helping them to be collaborative rather than to be enemies, right? It's me and you versus the world, not me versus you, right? Okay, so that's how it should be. So conceptually, we want to say, okay, the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse are 4 negative patterns that push your partner away from you. They are defense mechanisms that automatically fire when you feel threatened. And they foster a me versus you relationship. So we don't want to do that. We want to foster me and you together, and we want to foster vulnerability, you know, not defense mechanisms bouncing off of each other, right? So you think the 4 horsemen are defense mechanisms that kick in to protect you. And you know what? Actually, a lot of the times, they probably work really well to protect you. And we all do them, right? Criticisms, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt are the 4 horsemen. And what they do is they respond to a perceived social threat by pushing it away, by isolating yourself from that threat. So they work by protecting us from perceived threats and pushing that threat far away and ultimately alienating yourself from the thing that you're scared of or that seems threatening, right? So obviously in an intimate relationship, this is highly destructive. We want to bring the other person close to us and feel close, not feel far away, right? So you can help the couple to conceptualize this by like, how close do you feel to each other? Do you feel like there's an enormous gulf between the two of you? Or do you feel really close and intimate? When do you feel really far away from each other? When do you feel really close to each other? So the 4 horsemen is when you're going to feel the farthest away. And again, defense mechanisms that fire, and they can be closely paired to fight or flight responses. So when you're in a fight or flight response, it's one of the 4 horsemen. Stonewalling is when you withdraw into yourself, and you basically are flooding, right? You're flooding with adrenaline and cortisol, and you can't think. Your cognition is shutting down. Like your cortex is literally going offline. You're flooding with the cortisol and adrenaline to help you survive a perceived threat. So we respond the same way to an emotional or social threat as we do to a physical threat. So you're responding as if there's a tiger in the corner of the room, right? So stonewalling, usually what's going through your head when you're stonewalling is nothing I say or do is going to work anyway. I might as well just be quiet or withdraw, right? So it's running away from the problem. We've got a wild man in the woods looking to defend himself from wild animals. See any tigers out there? No? All right. So we don't want to feel like our partner is a tiger. very bad. Very, very bad. So stonewalling is emotional shutdown. It's emotional withdrawal. You're emotionally unavailable, and usually that's because you are in a fight or flight mode, right? Defense mechanisms are kicking in for survival. No bueno. Another defense mechanism is the criticism. It's a sweeping statement. It's an attack on character of your partner, right? The most gross example of this is a name calling, right? You're always such a, why do you have to be such a? So that's an obvious form of attack on character. Usually they come across in kind of always or never statements. You'll hear a lot of these from couples. You always do this, you never do that. Even in the healthiest of relationships, criticisms pop up. All of them pop up. They're just normal defense mechanisms. So we want to normalize them and kind of other them, right? It's like, it's not you. You're no longer there. It's your defense mechanisms are taking over. And if it's your defense mechanisms bouncing off of each other, that's not actually your relationship. That's not the two of you being vulnerably, deeply, intimately connected in real, genuine human relationship. You know, that's you just a very lower level brain functioning bouncing off of each other. It's not what, we're not anywhere near the potential. All right. So again, presenting the four horsemen as defense mechanisms. One of them, the most obvious, being stonewalling when you're in that fight or flight. Criticism, attack on character, sweeping statement. You always do this. You never do that. You're a. Yes, gotta stick to protect ourselves from the perceived threats. The stick of defensiveness. Defensiveness is when you play the innocent victim, or when you counterattack, right? So if your partner says, well, you never are there when I need you, you never clean up around, you're such a messy person, right? And then you respond back with, well, you're so controlling and you never are listen, right? So that's a counterattack. Or I am always here for you and I don't know what you're talking about, right? Playing the innocent victim. So there are no innocent victims. We all fail. We're all limited. We're all human beings with our flaws and our strengths. So defensiveness is a form of deception, defense mechanism that I am likely to make myself look like I'm perfect, or look at the things that are good about me, and feel like I have to protect them from the other person, right? So far we have stonewalling, we have criticisms, and we have defensiveness, right? The fourth horseman is the worst of them all. They call it the king of the four horsemen. It is the most potent poison for a relationship. So you want to make sure you make that clear to couples that contempt in the form of sarcasm, eye rolling, disgust faces, and mocking voices. You'll see that pop up quite a bit. Mocking voices. Those are forms of contempt. And conceptually, contempt is putting yourself above the other person morally, right? You feel like you're a better person, right? I am better than you. I feel morally superior. So when one person feels disgust, they're sarcastic, they use mocking voices, they roll their eyes, they let out an exasperated tone, kind of a defensive posture, arms crossed, bitter, right? You see that they feel morally superior to the other, right? Which is another major form of deception and defense mechanism kicking in, protecting yourself, shoving the other person away and down, right? It's pushing that threat away from you and belittling it, right? Because if it's less of a threat and you feel greater than it, right, you're going to feel safer. So contempt is an automatic thing that we all do to make ourselves feel safe. And it is highly toxic to an intimate relationship, right? So, no bueno. The rock of contempt. Oh. There it is. That's it. Yeah. Rock of contempt. Thank you. Thank you. We must bury it deep underground. So we have stonewalling, defensiveness, criticisms, and contempt. You want to know what those are, be able to describe them, be able to recognize them when they're happening, and then we want to do their antidotes. So now we'll go into what are the antidotes to the four horsemen. The antidotes to the four horsemen, for stonewalling, that's when you're usually in a fight or flight. is self-calming, right? So teaching a couple how to self-soothe is really important. You want them to be able to recognize when they're starting to flood, when they're starting to feel that fight or flight coming on, and be able to identify, shut it down, take space, calm down, and then come back to resolve, right? So I teach those three parts to couples. Is we need to have a good plan to identify it, right, and call it out. Hey, I'm starting to lose control. I'm starting to lose my mind here. I need some space, right? So we got to shut it down. We take space. We calm down. It takes at least 20 minutes to come down off of a fight or flight. You know, you can get your heart rate down sooner, because part of that fight or flight is your heart rate's usually up over 100 for a normal person, right? My heart rate sits at about 45 for the athleticism. So with athletes, you know, you gotta kind of see where their heart rate would be. But anyway, that's important. If you have the heart rate monitors in Gottman, they're big fans of using the heart rate monitor to see who is starting to flood, and in session probably we'll start to use those in the future. Right now I'm not super on that, but in the future. So the heart rate is usually up over 100. So you can get your heart rate down to a normal level earlier than 20 minutes. However, the adrenaline and the cortisol takes at least 20 minutes to leave the system. So you always coach couples to take at least 20 minutes separate from each other to calm down. And it's important what you're doing there, because if you're ruminating, if you're thinking about all the horrible things your partner has done, or why you're justified in being angry or hurt or upset, you just stay in that cortisol and adrenaline fueled space. So that's no good. So you want to actually foster good thoughts about your partner, calm yourself down, and be truly calm when you come back together, right? So some couples this takes days, and that's really bad. Other couples this can take an hour, other couples maybe half hour, right? So you have them talk about how much time they're going to need realistically to calm down to the point where they can come back and have a constructive conversation. So shut it down, take space, calm down for at least 20 minutes, and then come back. And they need some sort of plan to come back. So usually I have them agree upon a texting plan. I'm going to text you, see if you're ready, and then we're going to come back at a reasonable time, you know. So some sort of plan for identifying, shutting down, calming down, and then coming back together when there's a fight or flight response. Nothing good happens during a fight or flight response. If you see a couple is starting to flood in front of you, you need to do some sort of calming exercise. You teach them how to do a progressive muscle relaxation technique. You give them some deep breathing skills. We have a progressive muscle relaxation PDF that I will share with you. And you can also use your own, whatever you're going to do to bring that couple down, right? You can use soothing tones, explore, you know, bring them down to a safer place. In therapy, generally, we can calm them down faster, you know. All right, so that's the antidote to stonewalling, is self-soothing. You got to calm down. Antidote to criticisms. Criticisms are the sweeping statements, attacks on character. The opposite of those, the antidote, is a gentle complaint. The gentle complaint has three pieces, three packets of information that you want to deliver, right? It's the emotional content, I feel, about, you give the situation, and I need, you give the solution. So we want to teach gentle complaints as gifts that you're presenting to your partner. In an ideal, healthy relationship, complaints are really, really good things. It is good to complain. Why? Because I want to know the stuff that bothers you, because those are indications of deeper unmet needs that if I show up for and do the things that really land on those unmet needs, we're going to build a ton of trust. Part of the two most important parts of the sound relationship house are the two pillars that hold it up: trust and commitment. Trust is the deep belief that the other person has positive intent, that the other person loves you and wants what's best for you. That's trust. And then commitment, the other pillar, is all of the evidence from my partner that I have to see that that's true. It supports that. It's a supporting evidence. So obviously that's long-term commitment. Like, I'm here for the long haul, and you believe that, and you believe that from, you know, I marry you, I share my bank account with you, I have children with you. You know, it's the big pieces of evidence, right? But it's also all of the little things every day that pile up like crazy. A lot of relationships come to me not with major betrayal from one event, but from a mountain of mini betrayals. And a betrayal is anything that reduces trust. It's the opposite of commitment, right? So you betray your partner when trust goes down. It doesn't have to be intentional. It's a perceived betrayal. It's reduction of trust. That's how we conceptualize betrayal. It's not like it was your intention. It's not like anyone meant it to happen, but it happened, you know? And if you did mean it to happen, that's a whole other thing. But we got to heal from that. So, the rock of contempt. Yes, if the rock of contempt is present, it's no bueno. Yes, you have to be very careful and aware of contempt. Show me what contempt looks like. Yeah. High five. Boop. So where were we? Where were we? So we were on the antidote to criticisms, which is the gentle complaint. So it's I feel about I need, right? Oh, why is the complaint a really good thing? It's because it's giving your partner what they can do to really land on the deeper held need that will be perceived as commitment, a little act that builds trust and will bring us both closer to each other. I really want to know that stuff about my partner. I really want to know what is going to really work, what's going to land well. And I use that phrasing. You need to know what's going to land with your partner, because it's not going to be the same thing that's going to land for you. You're both different human beings. And maybe the general stuff, sure. There's going to be a lot of stuff where you're different. And the differences are where the tension is. That's where the conflict is. Because those are the things you're probably not doing because they're not obvious to you, because you want to be loved in a different way, because you're a different person, right? So complaints are just updating our internal working software on what's going to work for the other person. They're just updates. It's a system patch. It's, hey, I felt angry when you walked by me when you came home and didn't give me a kiss or a hug, and I really need you. What happened? You got an ouchies? Ouch. You want a hug? Oh, okay. System patch, right? System update, right? I felt angry when you came home and you didn't give me a hug, and I really need a hug and a kiss when you come home. That lasts for longer than 6 seconds, you know? It's gotta be a real kiss. So it's the I feel emotion. Be careful, because people will be like, I feel like you're always doing this. No. That's a criticism. A complaint is focus on yourself, describe your needs and limitation, and then lift your partner up by identifying the strengths in them that are going to meet that unmet need, right? So it's presenting a gift to your partner. It's like, I know you love me, and I know you want what's best for me, and I understand that. And I'm telling you that I felt angry, hurt, sad, lonely, betrayed, smothered, cornered, defensive. I'm telling you that I felt the negative emotion. And that's got to be okay. It's got to be okay and safe to present negative emotion. So that's a major thing to work on. But I felt negative emotion when, describe the situation, and I need solution. And this is how you step forward and make progress, by trusting that the other person felt negative emotion. You're not going to argue that they should or should not have felt the negative emotion. A lot of couples do that, right? It's like, okay, trust your partner. They felt angry. Not argue about it. And then give the situation without attacking the other person. I felt angry because you're always so lazy. No. It's not going to be helpful. I felt angry when the house was a mess, and I need your help to clean it every Saturday, right? You present the solution. You have to give the solution too. You have to give them the thing. You can't just say, I feel angry that the house is a wreck, but I don't know what I need from you, or I'm not able to tell you, and I just want you to guess. It's like, no, and that happens a lot too. So it's like we have to help couples to be able to give all 3 packets of information. I feel emotion about situation, and I need solution, right? So that's the antidote to a criticism, is to teach the concepts and the structure of the gentle complaint, right? Okay, so far stonewalling and criticisms, antidotes. The next one, we can do defensiveness. So defensiveness is when you feel like you have to protect yourself. You're perceiving the threat from your partner, you're going to play the innocent victim, or you're going to counterattack. So the antidote to defensiveness is take personal responsibility. Own a piece of the problem, no matter how small. When you feel defensiveness welling up within you, you need to own a piece of the problem. You need to look at your own flaws before you point out all your partner's flaws. You want to be experts in your own flaws, and then you want to be experts in your partner's strengths, and do that for each other. That's when conflict becomes really safe, is I'm focusing on my limitation and I'm lifting you up, right? That is key. So when someone is being defensive, you teach them to take a piece of the problem, own something, right? Focus on your own limitation. And then, you can coach them and say, listen, when you own a piece of the problem, when you humble yourself, when you focus on your own limitation and lift your partner up, they're way more likely to do that for you. It's an invitation. It's saying, hey, look, I know I'm a human being and I know I'm flawed and I know that I'm not perfect. And here's how I understand my own limitation. And I get it. I'm a piece of the problem too. I'm not perfect. And I know that I can be miserable to deal with sometimes, right? So it's own a piece of the problem. So that's super, super huge. And that's baked into a lot of the interventions. So we'll share those with you. Aftermath of the fight or processing the unfortunate situation. That exercise includes the taking personal responsibility at the end. So I'll attach that to this video as well. Okay, so defensiveness, own a piece of the problem. Take personal responsibility. Look at your own flaws before you stare into the depths of the flaws of the other, right? Biblically, a great analogy, a great thing biblically is look at the beam in your own eye before you point out the splinter in your neighbor's eye, right? It's become the expert and see the limitation in your eye, right? Before you see what is your limited perspective on the other person's flaws. You are the greatest expert in yourself, so you are going to have the greatest insight into your limitation, right? Especially because our memories are really focused on negative memories. We're much more able and likely to focus on our negative memories and the things that were dangerous to us and our own personalities, right? So usually people are really good at understanding their limitation. They're great. And you have to help them to do that with each other safely and humbly. And I describe humility as grounding in reality. It's not just debasing. It's not debasing yourself to debase yourself. It's, hey guys, be nice. What's going on?
She has a rock.
Oh, she's got a rock in her mouth. Don't chew on rocks. Yucky. Don't chew on the rock. Lulu's right. Lulu was right. She was saving your life. Thank you, Lulu. Saved her life. Oh, she's mad that she can't chew on the rock. Okay, so where were we? Humility, grounding in reality. So you don't want to like think that you're horrible. You want to have a grounding. You want to understand your strengths and limitation and balance, right? It's just you're going to be the expert in your limitation, and your partner is going to be the expert in your abilities and your strengths and the stuff that they're really fond of and admire in you, right? So baked into the gentle complaint are all these concepts. Humility. Oh, I'm sorry. Defensiveness. I'm sorry. Baked into taking personal responsibility. That's the antidote to defensiveness. Is humility. So grounding in reality, looking at my own flaws, lifting up my partner. I'm the expert in my flaws, and I'm the expert in my partner's abilities, and vice versa. Right? So, last one, contempt. So contempt is that feeling of moral superiority. I am better than you. Danger, danger, danger. Key component of intimate relationship is that we are equal partners. I lift you up because it is exciting to be with somebody who is capable and competent and confident, and whom I trust, whom I admire, right? You don't want to be with somebody that you think is inferior. That's horrible, right? They call that like a master-slave dynamic, where one person has all the control, the power, and thinks of themselves as superior to the other, right? And one person thinks that they are inferior. And that is very bad, very unhealthy, and ultimately very boring to be a part of that relationship. On both sides, very, very, very horrible, unsatisfying relationship. It is very exciting and fun and engaging and interesting and real to be part of a relationship where we feel like we are equal partners that are lifting each other up and ever growing, ever learning, ever becoming more competent together. That is the greatest adventure of your life waiting for you, right? So how do we foster that dynamic? Contempt will destroy it. So the opposite of contempt, moral superiority, feeling better than, the opposite of that is fondness and admiration systems. So your fondness and admiration systems are your running software, your working internal narrative of what are the awesome things about my partner, right? How are they really good at doing things in the world? What are their massive strengths? How do they show up for me? How do they show up for others? How does their personality really shine in certain situations? So this is becoming the expert in the other's good things, right? You are crafting that narrative for your partner, and you are saying thank you. You are mindfully and actively and regularly fostering gratitude within yourself and practicing developing this story, especially when you start to feel contemptuous, right? You need to counter that within you aggressively. So you feel contempt welling up and within you, you're going to, we all do, contempt rises within you. You counter it with stories of fondness and admiration, right? And you see really healthy couples doing this with each other. One partner is focused on a limitation, and the other one lifts them up with their stories of fondness and admiration. And it is beautiful to see when it's working really well, right? So, right? What do you think?
Hi.
Hi. What do you think?
Oh,
no. So fondness and admiration system. What is your working narrative of your partner's strengths? What do you understand about how their personality is really good at what tasks? So if you have an extrovert and an introvert that are together, the contempt narrative for the extrovert might be, oh, you never like going out with other people. You always want to be by yourself. You're so antisocial, and you're always exhausted. What the hell? Hi? Hi. That's the contempt narrative. What is the admiration and fondness system narrative? It's, wow, you are so good at being organized, at taking your time to think through things. You're so good at fostering us to take space and quiet time so that we can become rejuvenated. And I really like your calm and quiet presence when we're out and about, because it lends an air of confidence, stability, security. And I always know that I can come to you, and you'll have a good sense of like where the level of family energy is, so that we can take our quiet time, we can rejuvenate, and we can have a balance between our social life and our quiet time at home, right? So however you spin it, the couple needs to understand their major differences, where the contempt narratives may pop up, and usually that is with the major differences. It's, I think that my personality is ultimately the best one, no matter what the personality structure is. And I think that your personality is inherently inferior, right? And you're just going to focus on the things that matter the most to you, based on what floats your boat. So having a conceptualization of major personality differences and similarities will help to identify where the contempt narratives are and where the fondness and admiration needs to kick in, right? So antidote to contempt is fostering fondness and admiration and developing stories about how the other person's personality is actually quite awesome, and actually ideal for family development, growth, and stability. All right. Okay, so we reviewed the 4 horsemen, their antidotes, and started to delve a little bit into the sound relationship house, right? Conflict is kind of the core level, the middle level of the sound relationship house. It is, how do we manage conflict? And the 4 horsemen and their antidotes are in there, and how we manage conflict. Also, that identifying flooding, taking space, coming back, and courageously figuring out what the hell happened, why, and what we can do next is another piece. So the 2 major pillars that hold up the sound relationship house are trust and commitment. Trust being that deep belief that the other person loves you, they want what's best for you, and they have positive intent, right? And commitment is all the evidence that you have to support that deep belief. Okay, so very good, very good. You want to be able to describe all 4 horsemen, describe all 4 antidotes, be able to recognize the 4 horsemen in session, shut them down, and coach clients to use their antidotes successfully, right? And all the while fostering those deeper understandings of each other's personality, building up their fondness and admiration systems, and kind of getting a grasp on the different ways that both people need to be loved in order to build trust. Okay, so I would say those are some of the fundamental core concepts of couples counseling, and if you get those down and are able to present those and start to play with those ideas with couples in alliance, with couples, that you will be able to do some pretty damn good work. All right, so we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.